is Lucy. I am one of the reading specialists at the Reading Connection, and today we're going to be talking about pre-writing and the writing process and how to get started. When you read a book, you might not think about all the work that went into writing it before it lands in your hands. The author or the person who wrote the book spent many hours thinking about writing, about rewriting, and writing again before the ideas could be made into a book. It doesn't always happen by magic, even for professional writers. You can also learn to write using the same process your favorite author uses. There are 5 main steps in the writing process. The first step in the writing process is called pre-writing or planning. The second step is called drafting. You can also call it writing. The third step is called revising. The fourth step is called editing, and the very last step of the writing process is called publishing. This process is a cycle. It is not linear, which means that you can jump from one stage to the next, which is okay because this is how we naturally think and write. But before you get to writing, there are a few things you need to consider to help you get started. This part of the writing process is called the pre-writing stage or the planning stage because it is everything you do before you ever even start your first draft. In this video, we will be focusing on the pre-writing planning stage of the writing process and the purpose of your writing. Just like we read for different reasons, we write for many different reasons too. You might read to learn something new, like you do in reading a science book, or to be entertained by one of your favorite story books. In the same way, we write for different reasons as well. And this, my friend, is called the purpose. Your writing should have a purpose. You might choose to write to 1, teach something new, 2, tell a story, or 3, express feelings and or ideas. When you know your purpose for writing, your writing can remain focused and on topic. If you choose to teach something, you might be doing 1, writing a book report, 2, an essay, 3, an article, or 4, an interview. If you are writing to tell a story, you might be writing 1, a dramatic play, 2, lyrics to a song, 3, a narrative poetry, which is a poem that tells a story, 4, a fictional story, which is a made-up story, or 5, a personal narrative, which is a true story that happened to you. If you are writing to express ideas or feelings, you might choose to write 1, a letter or email to a friend, 2, a creative poetry, 3, lyrics to a song, 4, a journal entry, which is about your thoughts on things that happened to you. You might be more comfortable with certain types of writing more than others, but don't be afraid to try something new. How will you know what to write? Well, you can keep a running list of writing ideas in a notebook. When you get an inspiration by something you see, hear, feel, or experience, you can write it down in your notebook. Then, when you have some time to write, you can choose from your idea list. Once you have chosen a topic or the main idea for your writing, and once you have decided on the purpose, you can then begin brainstorming. Brainstorming is exactly how it sounds. Like a nature storm, brainstorming is unpredictable and very messy. When you brainstorm for writing, you are taking everything out of your brain and putting it on paper or on your screen. So, you are taking all the many ideas that you can think about and you write them down on paper. You do not need to write in full sentences. You are writing short notes and ideas for yourself. There is actually no right way to brainstorm or wrong way. Some authors like to do either 1, make a list, 2, Draw quick sketches. Or 3, use a graphic organizer, which is a map or flowchart that helps them to get their ideas on paper. Or scribble your notes all over the place where it makes sense to you. So we have been talking about the first stage of the writing process, which is pre-writing, and how each piece of writing must have a purpose, whether it be to write an essay, a dramatic play, lyrics to a song, a personal narrative, or a letter to a friend. Whatever it may be, it must have a purpose. To help us learn more about how each writing piece has a purpose and staying on topic, we will listen to a read-aloud book called Click, Clack, Moo, Cows That Type. We actually have some focus questions here, and I'll go ahead and read them to you. Number 1 says, what kind of writing did the cows write on the typewriter? Number 2, what was the purpose for the cow's letter? Number 3, what was the purpose for the chicken's or hen's letter? Number 4, did the letters have a specific purpose? Did their letters work? And the very last question is 5. At the end of the story, Duck learns that writing is a powerful tool. What does he do to get the diving board for his boring pond?
Click, Clack, Moo, Cows That Type by Doreen Cronin. Pictures by Betsy Lewin. Farmer Brown has a problem. His cows like to type. All day long he hears, click, clack, moo, click, clack, moo, clickety-clack, moo. At first he couldn't believe his ears. Cows that type? Impossible! Click, clack, moo, click, clack, moo, clickety-clack, moo. Then he couldn't believe his eyes. Dear Farmer Brown, the barn is very cold at night. We'd like some electric blankets. Sincerely, the cows. It was bad enough the cows had found that old typewriter in the barn. Now they wanted electric blankets? No way, said Farmer Brown. No electric blankets. So the cows went on a strike. They left a note on the barn. Sorry, we're closed. No milk today. No milk today, cried Farmer Brown. In the background, he heard the cows busy at work. Click, clack, moo. Click, clack, moo. Clickety-clack, moo. The next day, he got another note. Dear Farmer Brown, the hens are cold too. They'd like electric blankets. Sincerely, the cows. The cows were growing impatient with the farmer. They left a new note on the barn door. No eggs, cried Farmer Brown. In the background he heard them. Click, clack, moo. Click, clack, moo. Clickety-clack, moo. Closed. No milk, no eggs. Cows that type? Hens on strike? Who ever heard of such a thing? How can I run a farm with no milk and no eggs? Farmer Brown was furious. Farmer Brown got out his own typewriter. Dear cows and hens, there will be no electric blankets. You are cows and hens. I demand milk and eggs. Sincerely, Farmer Brown. Duck was a neutral party, so he brought the ultimatum to the cows. The cows held an emergency meeting. All the animals gathered around the barn to snoop, but none of them could understand moo. All night long, Farmer Brown waited for an answer. Duck knocked on the door early the next morning. He handed Farmer Brown a note. Dear Farmer Brown, we will exchange our typewriter for electric blankets. Leave them outside the barn door, and we will send Duck over with the typewriter. Sincerely, the cows. Farmer Brown decided this was a good deal. He left the blankets next to the barn door and waited for Duck to come with the typewriter. The next morning, he got a note. Dear Farmer Brown, the pond is quite boring. We'd like a diving board. Sincerely, the ducks. Click, clack, quack. Click, clack, quack. Clickety, clack, quack. The end.
I hope you liked this book. I really enjoyed it myself. Now, if we go back to the focus questions, we can review them and you can check yourself to see if you were on the right path to answering the questions. Question number 1 said, what kind of writing did the cows write on the typewriter? Now, I'll give you a few seconds to think about it and we'll go over it together. If you wrote, the cows wrote a letter to Farmer Brown to express their ideas and feelings, and that they wanted some electric blankets, you are correct. Now, question number 2 says, what was the purpose for the cow's letter? If you said the cow wanted some electric blankets, you are correct. Now, question number 3 says, what was the purpose for the chicken's hen or the hen's letter? And if you said the hens also wanted electric blankets, you are correct. Now, this brings us to question number 4, which says, did the letters have a specific purpose? And it looks like I gave you this one, which the answer is yes. If you recall, both cows and the chickens wanted electric blankets, so it did have a specific purpose. Now, the next question says, did their letters work? And the answer to this is yes. Yes, they did, because both the cows and the chickens did end up getting their electric blankets. Now, the very last question says, at the end of the story, Duck learns that writing is a powerful tool. What does he do to get the diving board for his boring pond? So I'll give you a few seconds for that. And the answer for this one is Duck uses the typewriter to write a letter to Farmer Brown about wanting a diving board in his boring pond. Through this read aloud, we can see that both the cows and the hens wrote a letter to Farmer Brown to express their feelings and emotions. The purpose of the letters was to get Farmer Brown to give them the electric blankets because they were cold. And in the end, not only did the cows and chickens get their blankets, but even Duck got his own diving board. Thanks so much for joining me today as we learned about the writing process and how to get started so that you can take your ideas on paper. See you next time, readers and writers.